Now we are discussing about globalization. Globalization, it is important topic. Globalization is a term used to describe how to trade and technology have made the world into a more connected and interdependent place. Globalization also captures in its scope the economic and social changes have come about as a result. That have come about as a result. Globalization is must. By globalization, some restrictions may be there, but even though by globalization, exports and imports will become easy. And another important thing is every country will produce some products very well, and every country will have some deficiency in their needs. So by that, export and import is there means the entire world and as well as every person will enjoy that fruits of the globalization. So globalization is must in the world in certain extent, but not to all things. But 90% of the products and yeah, exports and imports should have some certain free system should be there. Yeah, exports and imports. Then the world will become prosperous. The next point is what is globalization and its example. This means different customs and habits shared among all communities have been shared among communities that used to have different procedures and even different beliefs. Good examples of cultural globalization are, for instance, the trading of commodities such as coffee or avocados. One thing is that custom duty is must to every company because without custom duty, imports and exports will become um, such certain extent it is difficult. If custom duty is there, those things administration will become easy to them, and as well as certain other expenses and other indirect effects, yeah, indirect benefits also will be there. But that customs also should have certain extent it should be there. So all the countries in the world has to think about customs duty has to be reduced for 90% of products. But has to be reduced means certain extent it has to be reduced. Then the country will enjoy the benefits of all the countries of the products. And then next topic is what are the types of globalization. We are discussing about that. There are three types of globalization. Economic globalization. Here, the focus is the integration of international financial markets and the coordination of financial exchange. And then political globalization. And then cultural globalization. What is the purpose of globalization? The goal of globalization is to provide organizations a superior competitive position with lower operating costs to gain greater number of products, services and consumers. What are the four examples of globalization? Examples of globalization is cultural, diplomatic, economic, automotive, food industry, technological and banking industry globalization. These are the types of globalization and examples of globalization. What are some examples of globalization in everyday life? A car being assembled in the United States may import part from Japan, Germany or Korea. This creates a whole new avenue for trade when United States has to pay for certain parts from around the world, wait for them to be shipped and the resume localized production. And then the next topic is what are the main types of globalization? What are the main types of globalization? Five important types of globalization is economic, social, cultural, political, and environmental globalizations are there. What are the five stages of globalization? Um, that is domestic, international, multinational, global, and transactional companies are there in five stages of globalization. What are the four factors of globalization? Furthermore, these factors cover all the four major aspects of globalization, that is economic, financial, political, social, and technological. And then the next point is what are some negative things about globalization. Increased globalization has been linked to various environmental challenges, many of which are serious, including deforestation and loss of biodiversity caused by economic specialization and infrastructure development, greenhouse gas emissions, and other forms of pollution caused by increased transportation of goods. And then the next topic is how does globalization affect society? Globalization is associated with rapid and significant human changes. The movements of people from rural to urban areas have accelerated, and the growth of cities in the developing world, especially, is linked to substandard living for many. Family disruption and social and domestic violence are increases. So, globalization is very good, but in any country, some political problems and other problems are there, means it will affect the globe. So, for example, is political problems means certain times in the year 1993, 94, that time Iran and Iraq war is there. By that, what happens? Their petrol wells, their other country is smashing, and this country petrol wells are smashed by other country. By that, petrol wells are smashed means what will happen? The entire world will lose the petrol and diesel, and the increase the cost of petrol and diesel. By that, every common man will be suffered. So, if the entire globe is safe only, then we will be safe. So, always we should think about the safety of the entire world. How does globalization affect society? Globalization is associated with rapid and significant human changes. The movements of people from rural to urban areas has accelerated, and the growth of cities in the developing world, especially, is linked to substandard living for many. Family disruption and social and domestic violences are increasing. And how does globalization unite the world? Yes, globalization will unite the world directly and indirectly, because every country is interdependent. That is, we should accept every company. One company will produce petrol and diesel, and another country will produce gas very well, and another country will produce wheat very well, and another country will produce food grains very well. By sharing all these things with imports and exports, all countries will be safe and prosperous. So globalization is must. We should accept, we should encourage the globalization, and it will give prosperity to every country and every person also. How does globalization unite the world? Globalization results in the expansion of international culture, economic and political activities, as people, ideas, knowledge, and good move more easily around the globe. The experiences of people around the world become more similar. So, by that, globalization is most important to every person and every country of the world. Wishing you all the best.